Morning. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Jobtrain How session. It's been a little while since we've done one of these, so it's really, really good to be back. We tend to do a lot of these webinars, and we cover all kinds of different subjects, and sometimes they're quite generic. More recently, we've been delving into some very sector-specific sessions, and this is certainly one of those. From a Jobtrain perspective and as a provider of recruitment software or applicant tracking systems, we help a whole wide range of companies with their hiring. And there are certain sectors that have particularly challenging demands right now, and care is certainly one of those. We've got a plethora of care organisations we work with, and healthcare for that matter as well. But candidate flow and finding really good quality candidates, all candidates and people that will join our organisations that have a particular predisposition towards care is a real problem. So with that in mind, that's why we're going to concentrate on referrals. Now, before I get started and introduce Natalie, can I just check that everybody can hear me all right? If you could just pop something in the chat. We should also be live on LinkedIn as well. So welcome to everybody that's joining us this morning on LinkedIn. What I'll say before we get started, thanks everybody. Thanks Shannon, thanks Sarah, thanks Jules. Brilliant. Thanks Chrissy. Excellent. Right, we can be seen and heard. Excellent, we can get started. These sessions are designed to be interactive, so please, if you've got any questions at all as we go through this morning session, do feel free to stick them in the chat. There is also a Q&A area as well, so if you want to put questions in there, by all means, please go ahead. So let's get started. So I'm Giles, Director of Strategic Development here at Jobtrain. As I mentioned before, we provide applicant tracking software to a wide range of companies, but specifically for today's session, we work with an awful lot of care organisations. And I'm delighted to be joined by Natalie Page from Crossroads Care Surrey. We've known one another, Natalie, now for, was it 14 years?
Yeah, over 14, yeah.
Wow. When I used to do sales at Jobtrain, first pitched to Natalie when you were at H&T, Pawnbrokers. That was a long time ago. So Natalie's worked in retail, in education, and now in care. Natalie, thanks so much for joining us. Do you want to give everybody just a bit of an intro to you and also a little bit about Crossroads and also just your role as well, because that's developing a little bit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm Natalie. I'm the head of HR at Crossroads Care Surrey. I joined the organisation 3.5 years ago, and I walked into no HR team, a lovely administrator who tried her best. Everything was paper. No applicant tracking system, no HR system. So it was quite a challenge. I also joined in the middle of lockdown, so I didn't meet anyone for 4 months face to face, which was weird. But it sort of gave me a blank canvas, which I love. So we got job training within like 3 months. And also a HR system as well, and a training system. So we got everything really quickly, and so I've done a lot. I've done a lot at Crossroads. I've done a bit of everything. I've been spending quite a lot of time with the care operations team as well. Been managing that for a bit, which has been a steep learning curve, but all good. I've been taking on quite a bit of responsibility, which I'm really enjoying. And what else did you want me to talk about? I can't remember now.
A little bit of background to Crossroads Care Surrey, because you're quite different as an organisation. It's actually quite inspiring what you've created and also the services that you offer into the community.
Yeah, so Crossroads Care Surrey is ultimately an organisation, a charitable organisation that sorry. I knew this would happen.
I think you're catching that from me.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
We provide unpaid carers with respite care in their own home. So it is very unique. We go in and we look after someone's loved one while they have a break to just be themselves, go to the gym, go shopping, be the person that they are when they're not caring for their loved one. And it's personal for me because I'm an unpaid carer for my nan. Luckily, she lives independently, but I do find myself helping her with her, her bills and her shopping, taking her to appointments. And I think everyone in their life will become an unpaid carer at some point. Some people become unpaid carers as children. They have to look after their parents. So it's a massive deal, and it's also very rewarding because our clients often say they wouldn't be able to survive without us, and that's obviously something that we take very seriously, and it's also hugely rewarding for our staff as well. So it's an amazing organisation, and there are Crossroads all over the UK. We're Surrey, and we provide everything in Surrey, but it's an amazing organisation. I'm really proud to be part of it.
That really came through when we first started talking and planning out this session for today. And actually, it prompted me to think as well, because I look after my mum a fair bit. She can't leave the house. She's got really bad arthritis, osteoporosis, and so on and so forth. Never really saw myself as a carer for her, but I'm in and out sort of 3-4 times a week, and she relies on me completely for so many things: cleaning, tidying, shopping, bits of cooking, all kinds of stuff like that. And you just don't think about that at all, do you? So actually a lot of us, as you said, either have been, are, or at some stage will be carers.
Yeah, I mean, we support people throughout their journey. So we're not just an organisation that provides that respite support. We actually offer an information services directory, so people can go online and find, people that we have spoken to, gardeners, handymen, people that are able to come and help you. And also we provide a carers card, so people that are actually unpaid carers can apply to us, and they can get discounts on hundreds of things that are on our website. And we also offer an emergency care plan. So if I did live with my nan and I cared for her 24/7 and something happened to me, if I needed to go into hospital, I could phone Crossroads and they would send a carer to look after my nan for the first 48 hours to provide that emergency support if it was required. So it also gives that unpaid carer that peace of mind that if something did happen, then we would be able to go and look after their loved ones. So we offer a range of services, and mainly we're funded by Surrey, but we do have a self-funded arm so that people can come to us and just pay for the care if they need it themselves. If they want to attend their gym session or whatever, they can pay us and we'll go in and look after that person. So we're developing our offering, and that's because we do have a waiting list, and we know that there's more we can do. So we're just going through a restructure at the moment, so we're getting a really solid management structure in place to be able to then go and grow in terms of numbers, in terms of carers going out in the field.
That's really inspiring. So when we sat down to have a chat about what will we discuss, what will we cover, we settled on referrals. I think anybody that's ever worked in recruitment for any period of time will know that referrals are like the highest quality potential candidates and employees we can ever hope to find. But they sometimes can be quite a challenge to encourage or untap. But all the data points to referrals being people that generally are better qualified, best suited, perhaps more reliable in terms of their commitment through the recruiting process, and ultimately people that will settle more quickly and ultimately perform really, really well with an organisation, and ultimately probably stay longer as well. So we know that there is a crisis around both recruitment and retention in the care sector. From a Jobtrain perspective, We're on a bit of a mission to try and solve some of those challenges. We've been working really closely with Care England. And in fact, we put together a bit of a white paper on trying to build a sort of an end-to-end solution for the care sector. So I'm just going to drop a link in the chat around that in case any of you are interested in some of the work that we're doing on the side. But from a referral perspective, you at Crossroads Care Surrey have got a really impressive and successful story to share, haven't you, in terms of data and things? I know you were looking at data, Natalie, in terms of the percentage of people you brought in via referrals over the last 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. I went back. Yeah, it's amazing, really. I mean, joining an organisation that obviously didn't have a HR department, wasn't really, looking at stats and didn't have anything sort of on the computer, if you like. There wasn't anything to sort of look at. I sort of joined thinking, we need to just do what we can and try everything. So, we've done loads. We've done advertising on buses. We've advertised on bus stops. We've gone to recruitment fairs. I mean, we've done everything. We've literally tried everything. Spent a lot of money on Indeed, which makes me feel a bit sick thinking about it. But agencies are not my favourite. So yeah, we've really realised actually for our care staff that our number one thing is the staff and talking about what we do to their friends and their family, and obviously sharing it on social media if they're that way inclined, but mainly employee recommendation. We offer our staff a bonus to recommend their friends or their family member, and yeah, we've had massive success with that. So yeah, I did some stats last night. So in 2022, it was 19%. We went up to 34% last year, and already this year we're 50% employee recommendation, which is amazing.
I don't know many organisations that are hiring 50% of their employees via referral. That's really impressive. Tell me, how did you go about encouraging referrals? Because you had a pretty, marked increase year on year. How did you go about sort of launching a referral scheme? How do you encourage people to refer? And also, probably quite a long answer from you, but also in terms of the compensation scheme or the reward scheme, how does that work?
So I think because what we do is so unique, when you talk to the staff, they love their jobs so much. And when you meet them, they're so compassionate, they're so professional, they care about, their clients. And it's unique as well because we don't just support the cared for, we also support the carer to have that break. So when our support workers go in, we actually form two relationships, which is obviously unusual because normally you're just supporting one person. And a lot of people were saying, I used to recommend Crossroads, but then, something changed and, we knew we had to do some work internally. So I worked a lot on the benefits. We've done huge work on benefits and salaries. We continue to offer, really, really good salaries. Not enough. We always want to work more on that, but we've brought in long service awards, we've brought in perk box, we've brought in employee assistance program, obviously recommend a friend bonus, welcome bonuses for people who are joining us on the front line. So a lot of death in service as well. We've just focused on our employees. We focused on listening to them. Taking on board their feedback, meeting them regularly, going out and talking to them, having team meetings, being honest and open and transparent. A lot of, I think the work that I've done is been around trust, building the trust and, keeping people informed, because if they feel informed, they know what's happening and they're able to sort of share that with their family and say, do you know what, Crossroads is going places, they've really they look after their staff. It's really important. We offer fantastic training, e-learning, face-to-face. We've just signed up 4 of our senior managers in the care team to do their level 5 MVQ. We really want people to be successful, and not just to stay with us for a very, very long time, but also to just help them professionally, personally, to be better, so that they can continue on their journey and be sort of happy and well enough to look after their own family. So I think we just knew that we had the people in the organisation that actually would be able to be our best advocates. So we spent a lot of time just listening to them and making changes to be able to support them, for them to be able to support our clients. So I think from that perspective, we didn't want, obviously we're a charity, so we can't splash out on big bonuses or the highest possible salaries, but what we can do is really invest that money into our people. So what we did was we offered an amount of money which was lower, and now we've increased it, and we also offer that for the person who starts, so they get a welcome bonus, and we offer it to the refer a friend for the person that's already joined, and we do that in 2 phases. So they get half after 4 weeks, and then the rest at the end of the probationary period. So it just gives us, we say thank you, and then we say thank you again when it works out, because sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's also fine. But they've also provided, that person with an opportunity to see if they like it with us or not. So I'm so pleased that people, want to work for us, and they're happy to talk about what a great job we do. So what's better, as in for a head of HR? That's amazing, I think.
I love that. So I wasn't necessarily expecting that response. So ultimately, what you've done is you've built a really solid foundation around people and employee experience at Crossroads Care Surrey, and that in itself, I guess, through people being listened to, understood, valued, invested in, has then almost then created people that, and I guess communicated with as well, which is really important. Sometimes that doesn't always work as well as it could do with an organisation in terms of transparency and understanding of what's going on. So
we're not perfect. We're not a perfect organisation, but what we are, I think, is perfectly honest and open, and are able to share things, to be able to, be understood. I think if you really understand who you're working for and what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're happy at work, and hopefully that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, sure. And I guess that the result of that is that your people feel invested and part of something rather than working for someone.
Yeah.
And that in itself has created people that probably quite naturally want to then become advocates and talk about their experience because they're proud of it. They feel it makes them feel good.
Yeah, I think, as someone who has sort of jumped around, not in my actual, not in time, but in the different sectors, I feel that, this charity is sort of in line with my values. Everyone that I speak to, I treat how I would like to be treated. And that's the same for us. Our ethos is, we provide the care that we would only give to our family, or better, because we're professionals, obviously. But it's looking at that. I've been interviewing loads of managers for the care team because we've been through a restructure, and it's been an honour. And there are certain special types of people that will do that job. And it's amazing, and I'm really proud to work in the sector, really. And I'm not sure whether I would ever really go back to big bonuses and making lots of money, because actually I obviously do need money, but I feel a sense of achievement when I turn off at the end of the day. I feel like we've done a good job. So what more could you have? But also, just wanted to say, we've started to do new starter interviews. So we've been speaking to our people that join us to make sure that what they signed up for, they're actually getting. And we've had brilliant feedback on it. I've done exit interviews for years and always have done, but these new starter interviews, these new joiner interviews have really sort of reinforced what we set out to achieve. So by having regular check-in with those new starters, we are, seeing that we're not just all talk. We are actually delivering.
Sure. At what points do you do those check-ins and gather that feedback?
4 weeks, 3 months, and then obviously 6 months when they get signed off their probationary period.
That's brilliant, because if you look at it, it is a recruitment and retention crisis within care. And so often there might be some beautiful career sites, some engaging content, videos, all the rest of it, that, are designed to give a really honest, but also a welcoming and engaging experience of what it might be like to work with an organisation. Hopefully, the application experience is straightforward, easy to follow, important. Then the interview process is consistent in terms of what's being communicated via EVP or employer brand or what have you. But then sometimes I know that once somebody is onboarded and they start, then sometimes there can be a disconnect between what the person experienced or was led to believe would be the experience when they joined versus the reality. So that, I think, that's really, really positive.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for ensuring consistency, and we haven't done that very well in terms of direct line managers and the managers having the skills to be able to mentor and guide their staff effectively. Had lots of lovely managers in place, but probably because they've been here a long time, they were all doing their things a little bit differently. And when we moved staff around, they were saying, oh, well, we didn't used to do that with her, but we are now with her. And I think what we sort of found out was that actually we needed to just stop and take note of what was happening and saying, well, how is this affecting things? How, if we're saying something different to that person and that person, how does that sort of pan out? And, it can be in complaints, it can be in people leaving, it can be in, all types of things. But I think consistency and communication is sort of the real sort of key for us in terms of that. So I think if you can be transparent, consistent and communicate well, then you're sort of onto a winner.
Have you seen that have an impact on retention as well?
Well, it's difficult to talk about retention, and I was really hoping you wouldn't ask me about it because we've been through lots and lots of change. When I joined, we were going through a restructure. The year after, we then had to do another restructure because we had we did a retender for the council, and then we've had this next restructure now. So I can't really talk about that in a very sort of stable sense because of the changes that we've had. But like I say, unfortunately, change is necessary sometimes, and we have to do that. But we've had people. We have our oldest care worker is 81 years old, and we've got a lady who has been with us for 35 years. Now, I'm not saying that's for everyone, but I think what that shows is that we do have people that do continue and want to work for us, into years and years and years. And we obviously now reward them appropriately with their long service. And we did a lot of work on backdating that as well. So we didn't just say, right, we're going to do long service, and at this point in time, whatever your service is, you're just going to get it what it is now. We actually went back and did that. So I think that definitely helped in keeping people there, and they know that we care, and they know that we want them to to be happy at work. So I think that helps.
That's brilliant. That's really, really good. So clearly you've got some very strong advocates there. Is that something that you, apart from the reward scheme that you have in terms of referrals, is that something that you actively encourage? Do you support people in terms of messaging or how they might best describe Crossroads Care Surrey? maybe in the form of, for want of a better phrase, like an elevator pitch or something like that. Just giving them something concise that they can share with people if they come into contact with people that might express an interest in maybe working in care.
I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I keep everyone updated on where we're at with recruitment, and I always encourage people to talk about it with their friends and family or consider it themselves, because you might want to move into a different role, and we're all up for that. I think it's hard, because I think, and we were talking about this yesterday, in saying that some people, don't switch on the computer. Some people don't, actively use their phone to post on social media. So we try and do a bit of both. We've just recruited a new marketing manager who's really going to help us sort of focus on the socials. And I think it's finding a balance. And sometimes people just talking about the work that they do is enough to say about Crossroads.
And in many ways, that's going to be, I don't always like the phrase, but it is more authentic, definitely more relatable, because it's somebody's own individual experience rather than maybe a kind of contrived corporate message.
Yeah, I think it depends on the role. Our care workers, as we know, are of the older end of the scale. Not saying that's what we want to do forever. That's what we currently have, an older workforce. However, when we do have the management structure in place, when we are able to support, I do want to look at apprenticeships, and I do want to bring younger people into care, because I think it's a fantastic place to start. And if I could, I'd probably get my daughters to sign up. And I think once you provide that care to someone, you're sort of hooked. From what I've heard, people say, I just couldn't go back to doing anything else. And what people love about Crossroads is that we're not whizzing in and out. We're not dom care. We're not doing 10 visits a day. We're actually going in, 3 is the maximum visits in the day. And we normally just do 2, because it's 3.5 hours is the general duration. So I think having that unique selling point also helps us, because we're able to say, you don't have to travel the whole day. We'll pay you your mileage, we'll pay you your travel time, but we only really, we work on people's availability and contracted hours. So, I think it just depends. It depends on who you're talking to, what level they are. If I had a HR role, I'd go on LinkedIn, I'd share it on my socials, because, it's that level. But I think with the care workers, we've tried online, we've tried the buses, we've tried recruitment videos, we've tried leaflets through people's doors, we've tried posters. It's just going to be, people talking about what they do.
Yeah, and I think you raise a good point there. I know that you've got, in terms of demographic, an older workforce, so to speak, and you're looking to actively encourage people that may be younger. So I guess more traditionally, if you're perhaps in the older age group, you may not be using social media as much and communicating or sharing information via that. Mm-hmm. And a one-to-one conversation that might inspire a referral conversation is probably more likely to happen. But for younger employees, can I include myself in that? Maybe. Most of us, those that are active on social media, most of us have probably got, on average, maybe 400 connections. Yeah. That might even be times by the social media platforms they're on, for example, LinkedIn versus Facebook, Instagram, what have you. But if you consider that each one of your employees could potentially have access to, or give you access to, 400 people times the number of people that work for your organization, that potentially is a huge audience, and it's quite often untapped.
Yeah.
And I think if you're able to get your people to a place where they are either so inspired and they are such strong advocates, or they've got the confidence to perhaps share a little bit about their experience of working with an organization, or even sharing things like videos and things, especially ones that are employee created videos rather than those that are perhaps a bit more polished and what have you, or even sharing vacancies as well. That can give an organisation access to a really wide potential pool of candidates. They won't be as well qualified as the types of referrals that you're bringing in, but in terms of reach and ultimately free advertising reach, because it is really challenging out there, everybody's budgets are being pinched. That is something that I would encourage everybody to explore potentially. There are tools out there that manage referrals quite actively. Probably the best ones for the care sector that I know of is Care Friends, where they have a slightly different approach, where they have an app that encourages employees to share information or jobs and things via social media, and the app makes it really easy to do that. And then as opposed to a signing on bonus, they have a points-based system where you can then have micro rewards. So you may get a small reward or some points for somebody that applies after you sharing a piece of content, or somebody that is then interviewed or offered and then ultimately hired, and you have different points associated with that. You can have leaderboards, and those points could then be turned into cash that might go to charitable donations, cinema vouchers, holiday vouchers, who knows it. But you can basically gamify it and make it a slightly competitive, but also give people some more immediate, albeit smaller rewards for things like applications and interviews and that kind of stuff. So there's different approaches that you can take around referrals. And I think it's, to your point, it's making sure that you've got all those bases covered, taking into account different demographics and how different people are going to operate in a slightly different way in terms of being ultimately advocates for your brand. And their experience.
Yes. So that's Care Friends,
Yeah. And the link I dropped into the chat there has actually we're looking at creating almost like a bit of a combined solution between Jobtrain as an applicant tracking system, Care Friends in terms of driving referrals, and Care Character, which is actually an assessment tool as well. So if you're interested in sort of delving into that a little bit more, this is not a tech chat, so I'm not going to get too far into it. If you do want to get some more information, you can do that. And also, actually, we've got, I'll probably get in trouble for not mentioning this, we've got right just between us, just below us, we've got the Care Talent Market Report as well. So if you want to grab a copy of that, then you can do by all means.
Okay, I think I read it. I think that's from Gary, isn't it? Gary did that, didn't he?
Yeah. So for those that don't know us, we have an internal team called the Talent Intelligence team, and they focus specifically on data. So the data that we manage right across all of our client base, candidates and all the rest of it, but we do produce sector-specific reports, and because care is such a massive sector for us, we do have a Care Talent Market Report, so feel free to download that. So we've talked about the importance of creating almost like a really solid employee experience foundation, the importance of culture as well, communication, transparency, all those types of things that actually then create people that probably want to more actively talk about the organisation they work for and perhaps even be advocates for it. What comes next for you in terms of your ambitions about growing that more?
Well, like I said earlier, we need to get the management structure in place. We need to ensure that, we induct those people and train them appropriately, and then we need to grow. So it's going to be growth. We've got a waiting list at the moment, so we need to find field-based staff. So we haven't put a hold on our carer recruitment. It's always there, ticking in the background, but we need to focus on that. So when we've done that, we need to make sure that we can grow. And like I said earlier, we're going to launch our self-funded business. So that's going to be people, not coming through, the council funding. We just need to focus on, getting those people into the organisation and be able to train them appropriately, have them working for us, and then be able to then have more people recommending their friends, because we're going to get more people into the organisation. So yeah, it's going to all be about the growth. We actually implemented an integrated system late last year. So we've been doing a lot of work on that as well. And that's bringing everything into one Salesforce system. So HR will be the last bit. We're just currently testing at the moment. So yeah, there's been a lot of change. Like I said, we just need to now focus on providing that sort of base for people to be successful at work, and then we can look at the growth aspect. But yeah, so growth really.
So a couple of questions for you. The first one is, do you have any data, or you've been able to track at any point your advertising spend, sort of things like over the years, and how that may have gone down as your referrals have gone up? I mean, has it saved you money?
I think if we take out the management aspect, because we've had to really, really focus on that, and we have had to use agencies, but they're lovely agencies, but not my favourite. So yeah, taking that out of it, we've definitely reduced our spend, because we spent loads. I think we probably spent about 20 grand in 2022 just trying to, push it out there. We went on on the socials, we paid Facebook advertising, put it on LinkedIn, even though we knew it wasn't going to be the place for it. And we spent loads of money leafleting, going to local job fairs. People just turn up and get our card and go to the job centre and say, see, I've been.
I think we've all heard of that before.
Yeah. Nightmare. I felt like we just wasted like 4 days of our life just standing there giving out business cards and getting people's names and emailing them off. And we just said, no, not doing it anymore. So yeah, definitely the spend has definitely come down, because we know there's no point paying for it, because we know where we're going to do it. So it's just being confident. But obviously we do every now and again, we do try other things. We're not just saying, oh, that's it, never worked, won't again. So last year I think we spent quite a lot with Indeed. I'm not even sure if I should be saying this, but they were driving me mad, and we stopped using them because I just said no, can't do that anymore. But then actually this time we've gone out to them and we've actually posted our own jobs, so we haven't gone through our account manager, and it's worked quite well. We've kept an eye on the spend, we put daily limits in, and I reviewed it on a daily basis to make sure that we didn't sort of get that increase. But yeah, I would say taking the management out of it, we've definitely reduced our spend in terms of recruitment advertising.
And have you, I'm putting you on the spot a little bit here because we haven't discussed this, but have you got, even sort of in terms of a gut feel, the difference in terms of quality that you might have from a job board, whatever job board that might be, versus people that have been referred?
Well, it's tough, isn't it, with job boards, because you just don't get that sort of filter. And with Indeed or other job boards, we don't always get them to come through Jobtrain. So we don't sometimes use that function because we just want to get the CVs in, and then it depends on the timing. I'm just not a lover of having multiple things coming in and not through 100% in Jobtrain. And I think it's down to probably training. I think it's down to time. I think it's down to who's posting the job. So many different ways. But, with Jobtrain, in the past, we've used, weighted questions. We've, been able to shortlist through killer questions. All of the really key stuff that Jobtrain does for you to reduce your workload, because I've used it all and I love it all. Not being able to really get too involved in it anymore because I haven't had the time recently, because our Sophie, she does it fantastically. But I think from our perspective, if we don't remember what Jobtrain can do for us, we might go and waste a bit of time doing the stuff that we don't really need to do because Jobtrain can do it for us. So but it's finding the time. It's a balance, isn't it? It's finding the time between going through that with someone and training them up on it, or just posting a job directly and getting a CV back. So I think, quality over quantity any day. I would rather get 5 really good applications through Jobtrain than sort through 50 rubbish CVs or applications.
Yeah, I'm smiling because we're running a specific care breakfast event in Manchester. By the way, if there's anyone on this session that wants to come and join us next Tuesday morning, be very, very welcome. We're running that with another client of ours, and we were having just this conversation this morning on a call with the head of talent acquisition about quality. I think sometimes senior leadership, when they look at data and they look at reporting and things, start to see those candidate numbers or the volumes in terms of applications at least drop. That creates real nervousness. It's almost like a false confidence that comes with high volume of candidates coming through. But really, it's immaterial if the quality of the candidates is not there, the engagement isn't there from them, the real interest isn't there for them. Perhaps they're going through the motions, just as you described, for example, at careers fairs and stuff. Sometimes they're just playing a little bit of lip service. I've been to this careers event, back to the job centre and what have you. So it's false confidence for sure, and quality, or trying to focus or trying to unearth quality is probably the ultimate goal for us both. And ATS can do a lot in terms of filtering out, for sure, high volumes of candidates. Yes, you can use screening questions. Sometimes we find that our clients actually just struggle with even finding the time to create those, validate them in some way. So they end up doing the same thing they did before. But I think you've got to be really careful and very targeted in terms of where you are looking to attract and therefore produce quality.
Yeah, definitely. I said to Jules when she used to be our account manager, she's left us now, we're just lost without Jules. But I said to her, it's really weird.
She'll
be there. Late last year, it just went really mad. We just had loads of overseas applications. Rubbish, absolute rubbish. We don't know what happened, but I think it was through Indeed. And we were just spending time just saying no to like hundreds of people every week, and we still don't know what caused it, and we still couldn't sort of get rid of them, but they've just stopped now, which is really weird. I don't know what caused that, but and I said to the CEO, Terry, don't think that having less applications is bad, because they're actually better, and I'd rather go through the time of reviewing those quality applications than spending time just getting rid of rubbish ones. So totally,
And do you, when you get applications, you get quality ones, even if you're not necessarily recruiting that time, do you do anything at all around nurturing people, creating talent banks that you might communicate with or keep warm or keep engaged, or even ask them for referrals?
To be honest, we haven't been in that luxurious position. Because we're always recruiting for care workers. But I have used talent pools and sort of kept candidates warm. We started to set up our green room. I know this is a bit off piece, but we set up our green room and we had it all set up, and then we changed the organisation. So we're going to have to go through and change all of that. But what we identified, that candidates had dropped off or didn't continue with us because there was a bit of a gap between offer and actually starting.
The black hole of onboarding, as I sometimes call it. Just the purpose of this called green room, also sometimes called Welcome Hub within Jobtrain, is as part of our applicant tracking system, we can manage all aspects of offers, contracts, onboarding, compliance, right to works checks, DBS, all the boring stuff from a candidate perspective, but really necessary from a CQC perspective. But then at that point, sometimes it can go quiet from a new hire's point of view. So we created Welcome Hub, which is essentially a separate area of their candidate portal where they've got access to video content, welcome messages, lots of information about how to prepare for the first day, sometimes links out to learning systems or e-learning systems, all that kind of stuff. So it makes people feel connected and part of the organisation, and to your point about the importance of communication, communicated with before they start to make sure that they don't drop out. Stats at the moment are probably anywhere upwards of 30% sometimes can churn between offer onboarding if they're not communicated with. Certainly if you think of the fact that still right across the UK, we were struggling in terms of volumes of candidates, those people will continue to receive job offers or interview offers from recruitment agencies, job boards and things, even after they've been offered a job. So making sure that you kept them engaged before they start with you is super important, because otherwise all that hard work and effort you've gone to in terms of perhaps encouraging referrals or going out to job boards, managing through the process, interviewing, everybody's time taken is wasted.
Yeah, definitely. And we just actually started using DBS checks as well through Jobtrain, so that's really good, and it's really helped us to sort of speed that bit along as well. So I think the less time people are waiting, the better.
Definitely. Question for you, and I genuinely don't know the answer to this one. So obviously you're going to have people that will leave Crossroads Care for whatever reason. Have you ever considered using your alumni as advocates and perhaps even rewarding them for referrals? Is that something you've considered? Or
well, when we do exit interviews for every single leaver, and the last question we ask them is, would you come and work for Crossroads again in the future, and would you recommend us to your family and friends? And most of the time they say yes.
Yeah. So would you consider rewarding ex-employees for generating referrals for you?
I think we have actually in the past. I think someone who left then recommended someone, and I think they did get it paid in their final pay. So I think we would, and we do. So yeah, definitely. I mean, just because someone leaves, it doesn't mean that they haven't provided us a brilliant person.
Absolutely. Or that they might not come back to work for you again in the future.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I think we're almost coming to the end of our session now, which has been really, really good. I want everyone to say, has anybody got any questions before we start to wrap up? And while I'm waiting to see if anybody has any questions, Natalie, have you got any final thoughts or tips that you might provide around referral schemes, encouraging referrals in terms of how to get it right for people that have been on the session today?
I think also we are sort of staff questionnaire, so we ask them what they think, what they like, what they would like to see, what they would like to have from their sort of time with us. So I think asking staff as well what they think is a really good idea, because if you don't ask, how do you know? So yeah, I definitely say ask your staff sort of what they would like. Obviously they're not going to get everything they want, but going out there and asking people I think is a really good idea. I don't know, I'd love to link in with more people and be able to speak about sort of what we've done and maybe hear from other people and what they've done. I don't have a lot of time, but when I can, I'm happy to sort of talk to people and get ideas and sort of maybe create sort of a group or something. I think we can get a lot from each other. So yeah, I'm happy to sort of network.
Excellent. We did get a question from Alex. I might have missed this one. Sorry, Alex. Alex, a silly question, but what do you mean by long service in this context? I think I know where you're coming from, but just to help Alex out.
So for 5 years service is £50. For 10 years service, it's 100. For 15, 150, up in 5-year increments with the cash. That's really good. Excellent. Well, I think that is all of our questions. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah. Natalie, that's been really, really helpful. I've learned a huge amount, especially in terms of the importance of getting the foundations in place around an employee experience, and then almost creating advocates from the ground up. It's been really, really good. Thank you.
It's been super to spend some more time with you after we've known one another for such a long time. And thank you to every one of you that has joined us this morning. It's been great to be back online again. It's great to spend some time with you. If you have any questions at all for me or for Natalie, feel free to link in with us or just connect with us directly here at Jobtrain. We hope you have a really, really good week, and we'll look forward to seeing you for another session very soon. Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye.